In this example, we're going to perform simple metric unit conversions. Use the metric chart given below to convert the metric units. So we learned in a previous video the relationship between metric units and that they're based on base 10. And so is our place value or number system and our decimal system. So this chart is going to help us make our conversions based on place value. So let's look at the first one. We want to change 4,200 grams to milligrams. Well, grams is a base unit, okay, because it doesn't have a prefix, it's just grams, and mg is milligrams. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to see, notice each one differs by one place value. So to get from the base unit of grams to milligrams, I move 1, 2, 3 columns to the right in this metric chart. Okay, and that's going to correspond to 3 place values to the right with our number. So to convert from grams to milligrams, we're going to move 3 place values to the right. Okay, so when you use this chart, if you start with what you have to what you're going for, the direction you move, so we move to the right, will actually tell you what direction to move the decimals in. Okay, so a base unit is larger than a milli-unit. Okay, so there'll be 1,000 times more milli-units than the base unit, and that's why we're going to move 3 to the right. So let's see what this looks like. So we have 4,200. Here's our decimal now. We're going to move it 1, 2, 3 places to the right. So we'd fill these in with zeros. And now this would be 4,200,000 milligrams. Okay. Let's look at the next one. So we want to convert from centimeters to meters. So I'm going to erase this. We want to go from centimeters to meters, which is a base unit. So notice, starting with centi, I'd move 2 columns to the left. So move 2 place values to the left. So starting with our 45 centimeters, our decimal is here. If I move it 2 place values to the left, that's moving the decimal right in front of the 4. Well, that's equivalent to 0.45. So 45 centimeters is 0.45 meters. Let's look at the next one. Now here we're converting from milliliters, so milli is down here, to kiloliters, which is all the way up here. Now let's see how many place values this is. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so to go from milliliters to kiloliters, we're going to move 6 place values. And notice we move to the left. Okay. So I'm going to do this right with this number right here. The place value right now, or the decimal point, is right here. If I move it 6 places to the left, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7.236137 kiloliters. Okay, and I think this is a good example of a conversion we'd want to make. Over 7 million milliliters, that may not have a lot of meaning for people. Okay, but when you talk about it in terms of kiloliters, and there's about 7¼ of them, then that's an easier number for us to wrap our minds around. Okay, let's look at this last example of an application. If a person's pupillary distance, that's the distance from one pupil to the other, is 61 millimeters, okay, and the distance from their pupil to the middle of their upper lip is 7 centimeters. I know you're all measuring this right now. Okay, we want to know which distance is longer. Okay, so let's label this a little bit. Okay, so pupillary distance is 61 millimeters. And then we have pupil to upper lip. We'll abbreviate that a little bit. So pupil to lip is 7 centimeters. Okay, and we're asked is which distance is longer. So we basically want to compare 61 millimeters to 7 centimeters. And we have two options here. We can write millimeters in terms of centimeters and compare those values, or centimeters in terms of millimeters and compare those. I say we do both. So 61 millimeters, to change millimeters to centimeters, we'd move 1 decimal place to the left. So this is 6.1 centimeters. Okay. So if we compare 6.1 centimeters to 7 centimeters, we can see that this distance is larger. Okay, we'll write that in just a second. Let's just change centimeters to millimeters. So to go from centimeters to millimeters, you move the decimal 1 place to the right. So this is 70 millimeters. And comparing that to 61 millimeters, we know 70 is bigger. So that confirms our previous answer. Okay, so which distance is longer? We'll say the distance from the pupil to the upper lip is longer.